So in this video, what I wanted to do for you is show you exactly who I am. Whether you're listening to my videos and using the information to help you expand your visibility, own your voice and grow your business, or whether you're about to jump on a call with me and are considering making that jump, that investment, and taking your business to the next level. I personally think it is important that you know who you're investing in, who I am, and you know that you're in good hands essentially. Because look, at the end of the day, there's a lot of people selling programs, courses, coaching, masterminds, trainings. So I think it's nice just to pull back the curtains, show you who I am, and that you can essentially trust me. So I thought a good thing to address is that a lot of people, when they come to my socials, can't categorize me, or they assume it's just speaking coaching. And I get it because actually what I do is help you take your business to the next level through marrying the strategy with the internal state. It's business transformation through personal transformation. Because what I learned when I started mentoring women is that the blocks across all of my clients, no matter what level they were at in business, were the same. It was the visibility wound. Speaking up, being heard, seen, and playing big, being fully expressed. And with my background in my first career as a West End leading lady, and then my second career in the holistic transformation and business space, I realized that I was sitting on a gold mine, a solution that has now created lasting change in hundreds of women's lives. But the reason why people get confused and can't quite understand on the surface what I do is because, for the most part, powerhouse women in business don't know that they have these blocks. It is common that you can feel like the block is the external thing. For example, you lose your words, or you struggle to pitch your price, or you collapse in the negotiation, or you freeze on stage. But it runs a lot deeper than that, because what's happening at the top is a reflection of what's happening deeper within. And I became passionate about creating real transformation. And so that is in addressing the root cause of what keeps a woman holding back. I also want to say that kind of work doesn't have to be scary. A lot of people hear the words inner work and think, oh, like I'm scared to go there. It's more empowering than anything. And I'm not about taking you to your darkest place and, making you stay there and face all of what's traumatized you. The work I do with clients is actually very easy in the way that you're not stuck in doing all of the heavy work in your mind. The energetics and the nervous system stuff clears the blocks that you can't actually think through. And when you pair that with the external strategies and skills, the results you get are so much greater. My overall passion and mission is to see more women succeed and build wealth for being who they are, fully expressed, unlimited, uncapped, and liberated. It's about freedom. Now, I didn't initially start my business as Voice of Her. I started as a life coach initially. It was through that I saw these brilliant, smart women have the vision of leading and sharing their voice and their stories and their experiences and making impact through that. But that feeling completely out of reach for them because they couldn't feel into the leader within them, the woman who can own the room and step up and speak up for her mission and her movement. So a big part of this journey that I've not shared a lot is that when I was a professional actor, I always felt frustrated that I was stepping into the shoes of a character, a role. There were rules. And towards the end of my career, I was fed up of being underexpressed. I wanted to get paid for being more me, not just sharing someone else's story and script. I felt a call to do more and have more impact. And I felt that I had a lot to share and to say. And I felt like I could help people because I'd spent a lot of my life actually really struggling. I was in a very tough spot, pushing through, letting inner limitations, the inner critic control my experiences, knowing how capable I was, but always feeling like I wasn't reaching my full potential and showing up as powerfully as I knew I could, leading more from fear and not power. So although I loved my first career, I felt somewhat suppressed. And of course, I was performing and conforming. And the moment I quit the industry, I went out and I got all these tattoos and piercings. I changed my hair, I cut my hair. I reclaimed myself. And then I realized I could do this with my career too. And so it's that theme of freedom, building a life for myself that is completely aligned to how I want to show up and live. Expression has always mattered to me in the way that I dress, hold myself, speak, create, lead, relate, arrive in the room. Authenticity, truth drives me. And I think it drives the world too. I also, by the way, was not born into a business-minded family. I was born and raised in a place where people tend to stay, settle, get a 9 to 5, and ignore their callings. So no one where I was from was playing big. So for most of my life, I did not think I would be a thought leader or a business owner. And even my dream of being a leading lady was huge in the minds of the locals. But the idea of doing my own thing, something extremely purposeful, speaking on stages, making a living, being me, leadership was always something that I felt called to do. But I was so limited from trauma and programming that, yeah, it did take a lot of work to get here. Because when I realized I had such a fear of public speaking, even though I could lead a stage and a story and a cast and thousands of people day in, day out, in a 2.5 hour show every night. In business, I realized I had to focus on bringing the next level out of me, shifting my identity and putting myself out there and selling my work. So my first career gave me the external skills to do that. And then my second career gave me the internal mastery to actually hold that. And I'm so grateful for all of the jobs I've had and all of the work I've done on myself and in my business, because I've spent the last 5 years living all over the world, from Bali to Japan to Costa Rica. I've earned the kind of money that I never thought was possible, and I was able to move here spontaneously to Australia. I've chased the sun, built a business where I have more time freedom and locational freedom, and also personal expressional freedom. And I love the work I do. And I really feel like I'm at the beginning of where I'm actually heading, and that's exciting. So, an interesting story that I think would be helpful for you to know about me is how I ended up helping women in business. I became really passionate about business and women succeeding in business in an aligned and authentic and empowered way. I was never in a position where I was with someone who could take care of our life financially. And I have not come from a wealthy family or an entrepreneurial family at that. So I've always had a focus on making sure that I have autonomy and the framework to actually earn doing something that I love doing, because I've got a passion for life and thriving whilst I'm here. So purpose, impact, passion and alignment, and having financial security and abundance through all of that is what drives me. I also realized very early on through coaching that the women who build successful businesses and generate wealth through their businesses have louder voices in the world. And what I mean by that is you're able to make bigger contributions to making real changes in society. And there's a lot that I would like to change in the world. And it's the same for my clients. They're wanting to contribute in so many ways. And their business and their success is a part of stepping towards that place of being able to do that. And for me, one of the things that I would love to add change to is the schooling system and helping children learn how to be human and, deal with their regulation and their emotions and their nervous systems, because that's part of my story, being an 8-year-old who really struggled with all of that. But aside from that, I've become really passionate about building business with heart-led energy. Something that comes from you and can only pour through you, like your blueprint. So it's that founder path that I love advocating for and helping incredible mission-led women be the movers and the shakers of the world, and the kind of movers and shakers that they wish to be, and not who they think they should be. It's always inspiring and eye-opening as well with the clients I get to work with, because they're all in different industries. And so I'm learning new things all the time. And I love learning. I geek out on learning. I've also always been frustrated by seeing so many women not have the skills or the internal power to use their voice. And it's probably because that was me when I was much younger. I definitely was a child who had to find her voice. I mean, I literally had the voice of a mouse. And even with my singing voice, I had to work really hard to learn to sing and master that as a skill. So yeah, I'm frustrated when I see brilliant women who can make a lot of change in the world and who have so much wisdom to bring, not know the skills or be able to master the skills and match the state required to show up to do that in using their voice. And in so many cases, even though they have the calling to. So that calling just gets squished and forgotten. And so many women just end up holding everything in and living a whole life having never shared the things that they wanted to. And of course, it's common because we carry so much stuff as women. And my path, the rooms that I found myself in, it's always confirmed this problem. I've been at huge events and seen really successful women in their fields struggle to take the mic when they are the authority in the room, second guessing themselves, hesitating, apologizing for taking up space. I've been pitched to by 8-figure founders, and in their pitch, they've let shame take over and their pitch hasn't landed. And having coached TEDx speakers now around the world, I've seen so many female speakers, and also comparing that to the male speakers on the day, the women speakers play small. And I know that women are such a force to be reckoned with. And so that's why I called my business Voice of Her, because it is the voice of the woman, the feminine, expressed, authentic, and magnetic woman, the heart-led woman. And there's no better feeling than being able to help another woman show up in her power, help her feel safe doing that, so that she can create the life and business outcomes that she desires and make big impact in the world and be an absolute legend. And in turn, showing other women that it's safe to be big, passing this energy on to our daughters, our sisters, the women in our families, breaking the chains of generational and ancestral oppression. And I know the world is moving forward with this, but we still have a long way to go. So every woman doing this work is doing it for the other women. It's a ripple effect. So what I've been able to develop is something that changes the energy of a founder, bringing her to her authentic power so that she connects deeper, is felt strongly, and is trusted. And ultimately, she feels great and empowered in the process. And those in her energy do too. And I always have the belief that someone who's teaching, coaching, mentoring other people should always be the embodiment or have lived through the very thing that they are sharing. And for me, it is through years of my own hard lessons that I've brought this together. Years of training at a top drama school, being in a cutthroat industry where you depend entirely on your presence and your energy to fill the room and get noticed. And you depend on mastering your voice under pressure, and where all of that determines whether you're going to get the job and then be able to feed yourself and keep a roof over your head and get the job out of thousands. So it is about standing out and cutting through the noise as well. And as well, years of doing inner work, healing my own trauma, my own internal barriers, investing in 15 modalities to be able to extend that out into my mission and my business, my clients. So the process I take clients through is evolution. It's evolving into the identity of the next level, attracting more, magnetizing opportunities, being the kind of energy that people want more of, that they want to be around. It's a process that helps my clients market themselves consistently and authentically and be able to build a public profile and personal brand that lands, be able to rock the microphone and the stage and the room when they're invited to. And if they're not invited, they're able to put themselves out there, put themselves forward for these moments and create those opportunities themselves because they know they belong there. They know they deserve it and they know they're needed. Be able to rock the pitch, close the deal, say the price without shaking, land the message, share their story, be vulnerable, be courageous, be brave, be shameless, and deliver and communicate effectively in a way that impacts, influences, and converts, but all without performing, without pushing through, and then leaving feeling like, what just happened? Who was I? I don't even remember that. What did I say? I dropped my power. And that was not enjoyable. So Voice of Her and the Leading Voice Mastermind is a movement. It's a way of integrating the woman with her business so she represents what she's built without conforming, performing, without second guessing and letting imposter syndrome take over. Because especially with the women I talk to today, I haven't met anyone yet that says they feel comfortable selling and promoting themselves and sharing their message and using their voice and speaking up, advocating for their businesses, speaking to their worth and their value. And with the way entrepreneurship is going, we're in a time where visibility is the next level. So you're either leaving your next level on the table because you resist showing up and mastering these moments and performing under high pressure and high visibility, and you're moving from fear and discomfort, or you're showing up, rocking visibility, putting yourself out there, making bigger moves, power moves, getting yourself in bigger rooms and on bigger stages, and sharing your thought leadership and expanding your business because of it. I thought it would be useful for you to know a bit more about why Voice of Her and the Leading Voice Mastermind and what it's all really about. And the final question for this video, I asked some of my clients to send me a bunch of questions that they wanted to know about me. And one of them was, what are your hobbies or interests outside of your business? Because it's important to have these, right? But like yourself, I'm probably at the moment in the habit of working too much. I feel like I'm going through this season of life where I'm really working a lot, and I'm definitely, yeah, in the building stage. I have other businesses that I'm doing alongside this one as well. But when I have the time, I have a lot of hobbies and interests. I love variety. It is the spice of my life. And like the women I work with, I'm quite multifaceted. So my main hobbies at the moment, when I have the time, are learning. I never stop learning. I'm incredibly passionate about growth, personal growth, business growth. I'm here in Australia, so I go to the beach a lot, and I take my electric scooter and I scoot the Esplanade for the beautiful views and feeling the wind in my hair. I like wheels, not cars, but I like, skating and scootering. It feeds my inner child. I try to read a little bit every day or listen to a podcast or an audiobook, but I've always struggled reading. I'm dyslexic and ADHD. And that's another thing that you should probably know about me. I have like 100 tabs open on my computer and have to put a lot of strategies in place in my business. And a lot of the time I'm making up words because I can't find the word that I'm searching for. I also don't like labels, but I think it's useful to know like how your brain works so you can create strategies to overcome any struggles there, especially when you're running a business. I also love playing the drums, any kind of drum, though I don't have any of my drums with me, but when I can get my hands on one, I am there for it. And I still love singing. I still enjoy dancing. I dance in the kitchen when I'm cooking. I love blasting out, singing a song and dancing at the same time whilst I'm cooking. And yeah, bringing a vibe to the kitchen. I work out a lot. I do reformer Pilates and yoga and HIIT training and weight work. And I like pottery making. I should also say that I love clothes. I'm into sustainable fashion. And that's definitely a part of me expressing myself in a conscious way. And finally, I love being an auntie to my two little nephews. I have dreams of having a big family, 3 to 4 children. I'm also really into homestead living and tiny home living on YouTube. And that's definitely a vision I have for myself. I love nature and everything sustainable. So that is me. And like I said, it's important for you to get to know more about me. I want to take things to the highest level possible, reach full potential, impact, influence, and lead from a place of truth, authenticity. Everything I've said here, your voice, visibility, power, performance is the engine of your brand and business, especially in 2026. And if you can't show up in your power, it will cost your business and the life you envision for yourself. I believe there are a lot of female business owners out there with untapped potential, and it's my mission to bring that out of them and do the best that I can. I hope that shows you a bit of who I am and gives you some context, and hopefully one day we'll connect. And I'm glad to have you on the journey with me.